Welcome to another episode of Casual Cinephilia, where enthusiastic amateurs talk very passionately about movies. I'm Ian.
I'm Lorian, and today we are doing our second spooky season episode with
Shaun of the Dead. This is one of the best horror movies ever made, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was essentially written and directed to be a spoof of horror, a mock of
A
horror.
parody.
A parody, that's the word, thank you. A parody of horror. And yet it goes in my top examples of how to do a horror movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just prime. I mean, so it was directed by Edgar Wright, written by Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, and starred by Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Kate Ashfield, and
the team.
The team, yeah. If you've ever seen Red Dwarf, it's pretty much that crew. But it is such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this was my first introduction to Edgar Wright.
Yeah, I think it might have been mine as well.
And
probably through you, frankly.
Probably. So my introduction to this movie was a bizarre one. I remember staying at my grandparents' house because my cousins came to visit from SoCal, and it was the Christmas season, and I was staying with them all week, and it was Christmas Eve, and my parents took me back home so that I could wake up Christmas morning. I was like 9 or 10, maybe 11 or 12, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact year it was, but they took me home, and they're like, we found a movie you'll love. And so on Christmas Eve, my parents showed me Shaun of the Dead. And I think a few episodes back, we talked about how obscene my childhood was with movies, like how weird it was. This is, I think, one of the best examples of my parents, even though I still think they're pretty uptight, quote unquote, Christian people that, thought The Simpsons was going to ruin my childhood. But then they see Shaun of the Dead and how well it's directed, how the music plays into the scenes, how well it's acted, the comedic timing on literally every scene and edited cut. And they just saw the art of it, and they're like, oh, Ian needs to see this. And so it's so weird to think about that aspect of it,
Sure.
So as a young kid, I watched this movie 2004, so I was 14. So 14 or 15. And watched it and fell in love. I mean, Edgar Wright from that point on has been in my top 3 directors.
Good. Yeah. He's so good. Like, you're gonna get something good. It's gonna be different, but it's definitely gonna be good.
Yeah.
If you go for Edgar Wright.
Seriously, though. All right, so I guess we should actually talk about the movie, huh?
Maybe. I genuinely have no idea when I was introduced to this movie. It was sometime in high school. We ran in the same circles in high school. It was probably at some stupid party.
Yeah, probably a Halloween party.
Mike's house or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's crazy is this movie kind of flew under the radar for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Edgar Wright was that well known at the time. Yeah, he did a lot. He did TV shows.
Right.
So he did Spaced. So if you've seen Spaced, I mean, he did 14 episodes of that. But he did a lot of TV things. So Mash and Peas, in the mid 90s, Asylum. Is it Bill Bailey? Uh, Spaced. And then his first movie was Shaun of the Dead.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's a
Wow.
good first movie.
That's crazy to think. And then his next movie was Hot Fuzz,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the best buddy cop movies of all time.
Yeah. The Cornetto trilogy is just all around
No,
very good.
seriously.
I just watched World's End the other day. Such a good movie.
So, World's End, I didn't like as much when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've watched it more, because I feel like when you watch Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, you kind of have to watch The World's End.
Yeah.
And the more I've watched it, the higher it ranks for me.
Yeah.
It's a higher quality movie than anything he had done prior.
Sure.
And it just is such a great movie. The Cornetto trilogy is just the best. And in the middle of all that, he also put out one of the best music videos of all time, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah. Yeah. I just watched that the other day too.
Yeah,
So good.
you mentioned it and I was like, dang, I need to watch that.
It's such a good movie.
It really
Man.
is. Okay, back to Shaun of the Dead.
Also a good movie.
So, Shaun of the Dead, I think, depicts monotony the best I've ever seen in a film.
Sure.
The way the character Shaun, just coasts through life in it, and the edits that are in it that just show how boring
Mm-hmm.
everything in his life is, to the point where his girlfriend's about to leave him because it's so boring.
Right.
And how it takes a zombie apocalypse to pull him from that monotony. But even then, like, the beginning of the zombie apocalypse, he still goes through his
Right.
like monotonous path, you know? Is oblivious. Like, that's one of the best scenes I think I've ever seen, is after the zombie apocalypse has started and he goes through his morning routine and walks past zombies and they're slowly creeping up on him. He goes into the convenience store, there's no one there, so he just leaves the change on the counter and he accidentally slips on the blood on the ground but doesn't pay attention because he slipped on the water in the opening
Right.
scene. Like, it's just genius. Everything about this movie is genius. I could literally talk for hours about just little details in this movie because of how much attention to detail is in every single scene. So good.
Yeah. I I don't know what else to say about it other than it's a good movie. The pacing is really unique. That's pretty across the board for Edgar Wright.
Mm-hmm.
He does really quick and slow editing.
Yeah. Curious what your thoughts on the zombie makeup is.
I would argue that it's hard to do a bad zombie makeup.
Yeah.
Because, like, all you need to do to be a zombie is to look bad.
I guess you're the one to know. I still think one of the best zombie makeups I've seen was our Christmas card.
That
Back
one
in
was
the day.
really great. Thank you.
You should put that on our Patreon for everyone to see.
If I can find it, I will. It's been a long time since we were roommates, dude.
That's true. I think it's still on my Facebook. So
Okay. I'll go digging on Facebook.
yeah, go Facebook stalk me.
Yeah, that was a fun thing we used to do. Really kind of like not Christmas related Christmas cards.
That was fun. We should get back into doing that once COVID cleans back up. I think that'd be fun to do.
Why not start now? It doesn't have to be in the same room.
That's true. That's true.
I have an idea. We'll talk later.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyway, I mean, there are different levels of decay.
Hmm.
So anything from like a sunken eye and sallow face to like bits falling off and bone showing is totally fine as zombie makeup. So, especially with this movie, because it's really the very beginning of a zombie apocalypse, there doesn't have to be much done.
Hmm.
Which is like really great for a lower budget, which I assume this movie had. Do we know what the budget of it was? If it was his first film, I assume it was lower.
I'll see if I can find it real quick.
But no, the makeup is great. You know what's happening immediately if you know zombie movies. I mean,
Wow.
these are dead people. What?
Uh, do you want to take a guess at what its budget was?
Nope. I have no idea.
It was only $6.1 million.
Wow.
That's so small for a Hollywood
Especially
movie.
for, like, they filmed a lot of locations in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was not a single set production. Like,
Yeah.
it was a lot of location.
What's
That's
crazy?
pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was
There was
6.1 million.
a lot of extras.
Oh, a ton of extras.
So many extras in lengthy makeup and costume. At least the costume's modern, so that's easy.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Good job.
Yeah. And the
And
box
half of that
office.
went to music rights.
Seriously, the music in this
Edgar
movie is
Wright.
so good. Yeah, but what's even crazier is the box office was 30 million. So
Nice.
I mean,
that's what you want for your first movie.
yeah,
That's what you want.
it almost quintupled their budget, and that's not
Dang.
talking home rentals and purchases, because that's
Right.
where it took off. Really,
Right.
like 30 million for like a blockbuster, quote unquote, would actually be a financial failure,
Sure.
because most of those may take 50 to $100 million.
Right.
But because his budget was so low, I mean, he more than quadrupled
Right.
his budget. Hot Fuzz was only 8 million GBP, so that's about 10 million USD. So that wasn't even that much bigger,
Dang.
and that had
No.
some big names in it, like
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking.
Bill Nye.
Well, I mean, Bill Nye was in Shaun of the Dead as well.
Yeah, but he's a pretty big name, and he was at the time.
That's true.
Even.
James Bond. What's his name?
Pierce Brosnan.
It wasn't Pierce Brosnan. It was the.
Wasn't Pierce Brosnan in that? Or am I thinking World's End and he wasn't in
He was in World's End.
Hot Fuzz at all? He wasn't in Hot Fuzz?
Timothy Dalton. That's who it was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Their faces are similar enough that I'm picturing Pierce Brosnan under the hood.
Yes. Pierce Brosnan, though, was in World's End.
Yes.
And he was fantastic in World's End.
Yes.
No, but, I mean, that just shows the ingenuity and creativity of Edgar Wright. I mean, having a budget that small for a full-on blockbuster film. I mean, I guess it's not a blockbuster. It's pretty damn indie. But
Sure.
for a Hollywood release,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just so impressive. Who was it? I think it was Every Frame a Painting did a video essay on the editing style of Edgar Wright.
We can link that up on the Patreon too if you guys want to check it out. Their channel is good.
Yes, it was Every Frame a Painting. Edgar Wright, How to Do Visual Comedy. That's the video. And it's all about his editing style.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives an amazing insight into the psychology of his editing style. I mean, if you like, editing is kind of my passion. Like, as a kid, I wanted to be a filmmaker. And then I realized I hated actually filming things. And it was in the editing that I found the most joy. That's kind of why I like
That's so
doing
funny.
our podcasts, because we
'Cause it's
only have
all
to record audio and the rest is editing.
See, I like the pre-production stuff better.
Oh,
I'm
I
doing a
can't stand it.
YouTube channel and I'm like having fun with the actual setup and doing the stuff, and then I get to the editing part and I'm like, "Ma, just make it fast and put it together."
Oh man. It's almost like we're a match made in heaven.
Wow.
You've got peanut butter in my chocolate. You got chocolate in my peanut butter. No, but seriously, like, editing is that's my passion.
There's a definite art to editing.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Edgar Wright has mastered the comedic timing of edits.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
For sure.
I would say a good 40% of the jokes are in his editing. Like, the movie is funny,
Yeah.
even without his editing. Like, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost together are two of the funniest people on this planet, I think.
Yeah.
Just their chemistry is second to none. But they're raised to a higher level because of Edgar Wright's editing. His editing style.
His editing is so musical. And not only because it's often timed to the music that they have to license for exorbitant fees, but even without any music playing under it, it's very rhythmic. It's got a pace that follows a rhythm.
Yeah. No, totally. I've never actually thought about it musically. Like, I know, like, I have because of the music he uses, but I've never thought about the actual edits themselves having the tempo.
Mm-hmm.
But that's...
Yeah, watch it again.
No, that's so true. Like, I don't need to. I can see it in my head that his edits are musical. Wow, that is a fascinating insight.
Hooray!
Oh, man, this Shaun of the Dead is, I think, a timeless piece. Like, I can't watch horror movies often.
Sure.
I get too emotionally invested in movies, and so movies that are designed to emotionally drain me.
Right.
And so most horror movies are designed to make you anxious, make you feel emotionally exhausted, and to feel terrified. And when I watch them, I feel those, and I hate it. I don't like it. Shaun of the Dead has such a darkness to it, such a horror element, but the levity is so distinct that I could literally pick up and watch Shaun of the Dead any day.
And the message is very uplifting at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't come down with everyone dying. I mean, I guess spoiler alert is a little late in this episode, but...
I mean, this movie's been out for 16 years.
We give spoiler alerts on older movies.
That's true. Hey, spoiler alerts.
Either way, it doesn't end with, like, and then they all died. It ends with, like, and life goes on. You learn to overcome and adapt.
Yeah. Like, one of the main characters...
Which is hilarious in and of itself.
Oh, it's so true. The funniest thing to me was that it literally encapsulated American culture so well. With the fact that at the end, you see the game show of the zombies. And you know an American producer would pitch it. It's like, we've got all these zombies. What if we did, like, a wipeout?
They're not being productive in the economy. They're a waste of space.
Just bear with me. Imagine Wipeout, but zombies. Like,
we don't have to pay them. They aren't people any longer.
The ratings will be through the roof, and our budget will be dirt cheap. Ugh. But it's so good. Oh, that was something I wanted to talk about. is a lot of these movies, like a grand scale movie, which though this is a very small scale story,
Sure.
it is a grand scale world that they've
Yeah.
built. And with movies that have that large scale world,
Well, it's
always
often more
suffer.
work
Say it
to
again.
have a. So it's almost more work to have a small neighborhood you see all of than to have a single location in a bunch of places.
Yeah. No, it's true. But what's crazy is with those kind of movies, there's always a ton of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Shaun of the Dead gets around it, but still has that exposition without it being super boring and cumbersome, is it's Shaun flipping through channels, and
Yeah.
what you hear from the snippets as he's changing through the channels is the exposition dump. So if you're
Right.
not paying attention, you won't get it, and you don't need it. But
Right.
if you're paying attention to it, you have such a larger understanding of the world at large, and it's absolutely fascinating that you can completely miss it if you're not paying attention to it. It doesn't shove it down your throat, which I super appreciate.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much.
It's a good one.
Do you have
Does Edgar Wright have anything coming out soon?
let me check. Monsieur Edgar Wright.
And by soon, I mean.
So he's got his last film was Baby Driver, which was phenomenal. If you can look past the Kevin Spacey stuff,
Yeah.
the movie itself is top notch. It's one of the best soundtracks in a movie ever.
Yeah. Talk about musical editing.
Yes. He has a movie in post-production called Last Night in Soho.
Okay.
And he also has a documentary in post-production. It doesn't have a release date, and it's called Untitled Sparks Documentary.
Okay.
But those are the only two things that are in post-production. There's nothing in pre-production.
Interesting.
To be fair, though, he still works shorts. Like, he does music videos. He did Colors by Beck. He did Gust of Wind for Pharrell Williams. He did a fake trailer for the Grindhouse movie. Like, he does shorts in between that I don't think get put on here until he does them because they're kind of small indie projects. But I think he really only works on one movie every, 4 years.
Yeah, it seems the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 3 years between Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. 3 years between Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim. 3 years between Scott Pilgrim and World's End. And 4 years between World's End and Baby Driver. And it's been 3 years. It'll be 4 years.
Every one of his films.
Yep. Every single one. And it'll be 4
and they're
years
all
till Soho.
phenomenal.
They really are. Well, it's because he puts time and effort into every single one.
Yeah.
Every single one is his baby.
Yeah.
From pre-production to post-production to release, they're his baby.
Yep. He's doing the thing all the way.
I wish we had more directors like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, we've got him. We've got Wes Anderson. We've got the Coen brothers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's about it.
Who else do we have?
I mean...
There's got to be more.
I mean, there are.
We just don't know about.
Or are
if you guys have any directors you know who have a strong style and are involved start to finish, let us know. Maybe we'll talk about them sometime.
Yeah. I would love to be surprised by a director I didn't know about.
Definitely.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts on Shaun of the Dead?
No. Maybe even if you don't want to... I mean, first of all, see the movie. But if you refuse to watch a full-length movie, at least look up the Don't Stop Me Now sequence.
It's such a great sequence. I think Freddie Mercury would have been proud.
Hmm.
Don't stop me now. Having a good time. Oh, so good. So good.
Do you have final thoughts?
I do. So my final thought is that with Shaun of the Dead, yes, he had $6.1 million, which to you and me is an astronomical budget.
Sure.
But if you compare it to equivalent films, like Dawn of the Dead had a budget of $38 million.
Right.
And I would very much compare those two films as equals. If not, Shaun of the Dead is better. Like, every time I watch this movie, I get the sense that if I put in the time,
right,
and the effort, and the passion, I can create art, no matter the budget. Like, I don't get, oh, that was a good horror movie. Or I don't get, oh, that was an interesting film. I get inspired whenever I watch a Cornetto trilogy movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because it truly is art. And it's done smart. It's done with passion. It's a prime example of an artist doing what he does best.
Right.
And I want to share that movie with the world. You know, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. If only for the artistic expression of the movie. Yes, it's funny. Yes, it's gory. Yes, there's scary moments. But man, it is a work of art.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my final note.
Hooray!
Woo! So I think we should talk about our spooky Halloween special.
Yeah, we're giving you an extra episode this month, releasing on Halloween.
Hello.
We'll be talking about the first horror movies we saw.
Yes. Are we keeping those secret till the episode, or are we?
Do you want to? We didn't discuss this part before.
Didn't, did we?
No.
Spooky.
Nothing is scarier than being unprepared.
I think we should keep it a secret until the episode.
Great build up to nothing. So you'll hear us talk about two mysterious, scary movies that came out sometime when we were younger. Ooh. On Halloween.
Man, we are good at this.
Oh man, the irony of spending a half hour praising somebody whose whole career is magnificent because of all the preparation and care they put into their work.
And then there's us. Hey, we can appreciate something we can't attain. Come on. I guess this is a bad time to mention that I haven't been recording any audio, huh?
Yeah, that's bad. It's a bad time to mention that.
Oh, that'd be terrible. Anyways, I think this is a perfect time to appreciate the people who have been supporting us.
Despite our failures, we've got Jenny, Jake, Pam, and Graham.
You guys make all of this possible, so if anyone hates it, it's your fault. No, I probably shouldn't say that.
No, Ian, bad. Blame them for things. Our incompetences are our fault. Our glories are yours.
That sounds a lot better. We'll stick with that slogan.
It's not a good slogan, no. Thank God I do the marketing.
I'm just the editor, man. Anyways, thank you, Jenny, Jake, Pam, and Graham. You guys rock.
Yeah.
And on that note, this has been another episode of Casual Cinephilia. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.